Hey, this is Tim Balme from Braindead. You're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.
Bonfires burning bright, pumpkin faces in the night. I remember Halloween, dead cats hanging from poles, little dead around in droves. I remember Halloween.
All right, and welcome to Without Your Head Horror Radio. I'm Neil, along with...
I'm John.
And that would make me Troy.
And right to start off the show with, we are joined by Tim Balme. I'm going to welcome you to the show.
Hello there.
Say hello to everybody out there. It's good to have you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm down here at the bottom of the world in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
In our winter time, staying warm.
Oh, I've got the air conditioner on because it's really hot.
Okay, I can imagine. I'll imagine.
Now, when you're on the other side of the world like that, do you have to tie like a string around your hat so it doesn't fall off?
I used to wonder about that as a kid. I used to kind of wonder how come the water didn't all fall off, and I even remember trying to tell that to my geography teacher at one point, and I got sent out of the class. He thought I was being a smartass, but I was just thinking it through logically, but it didn't go down too well.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people know you from the movie Dead Alive. It's also known as Brain Dead. Why the name change?
I recall at the time that there was another film called Brain Dead in America that had been made several years before ours, and it was just a legal reason that they couldn't use the name that Peter wanted to use. So it was a boring reason like that, and the distributors had to think of another one. So there was some film made. I don't know whether it had been actually made or it was registered to be made, but it was just a legal reason they had to come up with another name.
Yeah. Which name do you prefer?
Well, I prefer Brain Dead. I mean, that was always the film we were making, and it seems to be the name that has stuck around the rest of the world. I think it's just America that had to use Dead Alive. And Brain Dead.
Difficult,
Does it also mean something different over there? Was there something about that? The marketing people thought maybe the American punters wouldn't get it? I don't know. That rings a bell as well. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, kind of to me, Dead Alive was kind of a playoff of Undead. But,
Right.
I don't think it has anything to do with Brain Dead, though.
Yeah.
But so it just exists there as a movie on a video shelf that's called Dead Alive. It never got reissued or anything as Brain Dead?
No, it's always Dead Alive. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was called Brain Dead until not that long ago, a few years ago.
I just learned that recently too.
Right.
Why is there not a special edition DVD out with like some commentary, some extra scenes?
I think the only reason is that Peter has been too busy in the last 100 years making other movies, because there was a huge amount of footage, behind the scenes footage was shot. I remember the doco guy being there all the time, and he was one of Peter's special effects guys, or his name was George Port, and he went on to do all the effects, the digital effects on Heavenly Creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they kind of went their separate ways, and maybe that footage isn't in Peter's hands. I'm not sure about the story behind that, but I know there's a huge amount of footage lying around somewhere. Someone's got it. And I think he's made mutterings of doing a commentary because the film has never been even released on DVD in New Zealand. It doesn't exist on DVD anywhere.
Really?
Except it does in Europe. I was over at a convention a couple of years ago, and there were heaps of DVDs around, but they were just probably illegal copies or something. I don't know, but I think the commentary will be done one day when Peter's got some time. But when that'll be, I don't know.
Yeah. So would you want to be part of it?
Busy.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. It'd be fun to do. It'd be great to have a little reunion, and maybe Peter's probably got in the back of his mind some anniversary. I don't know how long has it been now? 15 years or something?
Yeah, I think
maybe.
so. I think it was 92.
Has it really?
Yeah, so he might.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He might sort of go, oh, well, we'll wait till it's the 20th anniversary or something.
Right. But
I certainly not, sorry. Yeah.
No, you go on. You go on.
I know that he's been muttering about it and wanting to find the time, but he's just been too busy.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering if there was any particular scenes or anything you remember that was cut out that, you would like to see back in it if they put out, like, a special edition?
Well, in New Zealand, the version that made it onto the screen and the video is pretty much fully complete. I think you guys lost quite a bit, and I'm not sure exactly what you didn't get, but I know that the American version was censored in some way, and I don't understand what the difference is, but I know that I don't know how long is the movie over there. Do you know? Is it something like 85 minutes?
I've got the DVD right here, but I think I've got the unrated version, and it's 97 minutes.
Oh, okay, well that's what we had, and from my memory, there's not a lot missing in the 97-minute version from what we shot. I don't remember much being cut out.
I remember it being pretty brutal.
Yeah. I think you guys lost a few minutes in your original release, much to Peter's annoyance. But because so much of the film, like the massacre sequence in the house, the last act of the film, the climax, that was like we took 6 weeks to shoot that, and it was all shot in continuity. Okay, so we started at the beginning of the massacre and we ended at the end because the continuity was such a nightmare. And Peter hates continuity anyway. He says it's for sissies. So he said, we started at the beginning and we ended at the end, and it took 6 weeks. And by the time that the 6 weeks were up, that studio that we were in was covered in that blood, and it was rotting, and it was fermenting, and it stunk. And my costume, every day, I would come into work at 6 in the morning in my dressing room, and my costume had solidified overnight. It had dried hard, my clothes.
Wow.
So I'd put these clothes on which had gone rigid with fermented blood, and then they'd spray me down with water at 6 in the morning in winter, and it was freezing, and that would make all the blood and stuff start going soft and running again, and then we'd get on with the day.
Right.
And then you had to keep doing that over and over again?
Yeah, for 6 weeks.
Wow.
But the point is that even though in the middle of that I think we were all going a bit mad, and it was so intense. But Peter would say, "No, we need another one. This one's for the fans. This one's for the fans." And another splatter effect, another liter of blood. It's for the fans. And he always knew. He knew. I didn't understand at the time, but he knew that there were people out there that wanted this, and they wanted more, and he wanted to give it to them.
Do you think that helped you get into the frame of mind for the movie when you have to, when you're putting on these clothes that are just covered in fermented blood and or even it's fake blood? But did it help? It helped you with getting to the role.
Yeah, well, I think when we were in the middle of all that, in that 6 week part of the film, you became. I just remember being quite, not possessed, but we were just in this other world, and you'd go to work early first in the dark, and you'd come home in the dark, and you'd go to sleep, and you'd get up, and you'd do it again. So it was a slight type of psychosis, I think, or madness to get through it all, because we were shooting 2 units all the time as well, 2 main units. So we were up in that house that's in the film was a complete build. It was all a total build inside a studio, so we could have 2 main units shooting in different rooms in the house all the time, and Peter would run between the 2. So we were working, all of us were working all the time. There wasn't a lot of downtime. So I think that helped get through it, because you were always busy and always wet and and covered in slime.
Yeah.
So much for the whole glamorous side of making a movie there,
Peter doesn't believe in glamour. He's got no time for glamour.
What was used for the chunks of gore?
Sorry, say that again?
What was used for all the chunks, the actual gore and stuff? What did they put on you?
It was all that was Richard from Weta Digital now. Richard's stuff. He made everything. It was all made of latex, basically. Latex, and he had a special. They had a special mixture, a special recipe for the blood, which they took a long time to get right. And it looks incredibly real, and it has. They really made huge efforts to get it right, because they were going to use so much of it.
Right.
But all the innards and stuff, it's all latex, from my memory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, was there any particular scene that was just that was really hard to shoot?
The lawnmower scene was hard because that thing was heavy, and it had this. They'd hooked up this machine, this pump to that lawnmower, which I forget exactly now. I think the statistics were it pumped 400 liters of blood a minute or something, and so I was basically, that lawnmower was the end of a fire hose essentially, and I having to wield it above my head take after take. There's a part, I think, at the very end of that sequence where I'm sort of screaming, and that was real. That wasn't that wasn't scripted or asked for. It was just me going, losing the plot, going, I can't do it anymore. And Peter went, oh great, I've got it. That's what I wanted. Excellent. We'll cut. So it was hard, but it was fun. You know, it was hard but fun.
Was there anything that was like actually kind of made you sick, like that you would see in the movie? It still works for me as when when Mum's ear falls into the custard, yeah, and he says rich and creamy just the way I like it. It still gets me, that one. Yeah. But that's the one, I think, if you ever see it in the cinema, that's the bit where people groan the most, I think. Yeah. Even more than the blood. It's the creamy mixture of decomposing zombie. What did you think of the movie the first time you saw like the finished project?
The first time I saw it was actually I think it was in Cannes at the film festival, because we took it over to the marketplace there, and it was my first time in Europe, and it was my first time at a film festival. And I didn't know what Cannes was because, you know, I was a young guy that just come out of drama school, and Peter said, you know, we're going to take it to Cannes, and I said, oh, can I come along? I was kind of looking for an excuse to go overseas, and I didn't know what Cannes was, and I thought it was a fishing village that had a little festival. Yeah, so I turned up on the train. And I got off the train and I went, oh my God. And I'd just done this particular classic Kiwi New Zealand thing, which is, says, I'll meet you there. You know, that's the way we kind of work. And it's like, oh, yeah, I'll see you in Cannes on this day, and I'll just turn up and I'll find you. And of course, when I walked off the train, this place is huge, and it's, it is what it is. I mean, everyone knows what Cannes is. It's just I didn't. And so I kind of got a bit of culture shock, and I went, oh my God, this is quite a big event. And then I found myself in the cinema watching the movie for the first time. So I think I was as much overawed with the place as I was with the film, but it was fun. Mm-hmm. It was fun to watch, and I didn't know, it was my first film I'd ever made, and I didn't know much about filmmaking, so I was just impressed at the way that it all came together. And so I was watching it through very innocent, naive eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, though. That's a great story.
Yeah. And you know, the funny thing about it was I turned up in Cannes because I said, you know, I'll meet you there. And I didn't have any accommodation. And, of course, the hardest thing to get in Cannes is accommodation.
Oh.
So I turned up there with my backpack, and Peter, being the kind of guy he is, he said, oh, you can just top and tail with me. So we ended up sharing a bed, like top and tailing for a couple of nights until they found me somewhere to sleep.
Oh, that's great.
Were you friends with Peter before you made the movie?
No, I'd never met him, and I hadn't really even heard of him. But you know, he needed someone to do this role, and he'd heard about me as a new actor on the scene, and he gave me a one-on-one audition and seemed to like what he saw and figured that I could do what he needed to be done, and from there we had a great ride together.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you still stay in touch with him?
Not really. I mean, he's you know, in a completely different level of the world now. I mean, he's the Steven Spielberg of the Southern Hemisphere, so he's kind of unreachable. Although I have communicated with him a couple of times in recent years over a couple of things, but you have to kind of do it through a PA and stuff now. And but he's still cool. I mean, in fact, I know an actress. In fact, she's looking after my kids today. Who's just worked with him on Lovely Bones, and so she's been over filming in Philadelphia on your side of the world, and it was her first time working with him, and she talks about him in the same way that from the way she's talking about him, I can tell he hasn't changed. He's still the same cool guy that he always was.
Yeah,
oh, that's great.
Were you yourself like a fan of horror movies before you made the movie?
In all honesty, I'd never seen one in my life. Okay, in fact, I'll tell you the only horror film I'd ever seen was the first half of The Exorcist, and I'd got so scared at the age of 16 that I ran out of my girlfriend's house because I couldn't handle it. And to this day, I still don't know if that chick in The Exorcist is okay. The last time I saw her head was spinning around, and then I took off. I hope she's okay.
Yeah, well, we won't ruin the movie for you in case you ever.
Yeah, I must get around to finishing that one. No, so what Peter did, he said to me, I know you don't know much about horror, and so what he did is he gave me some movies to watch as homework. So, because what he was doing was paying homage to a few different films, like obviously Evil Dead and Dawn of the Dead. So my introduction to horror films was watching those ones under his instruction.
Someone here in the chat room, they want to know what your favorite zombie movie was. Have you seen many?
I saw all the Evil Deads and Dawn of the Deads and all those series. But to be honest, I haven't really kept up with it over recent years, and there's a whole lot I want to see. I've just been busy doing other things, but I'd like to see Shaun of the Dead. I've heard that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I love that one.
Yeah, so that's sort of on my must-watch DVD list. And I was a big fan of Dawn of the Dead when I saw it. I really thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, to me that's the best zombie film is the original Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, that's right. Because of all the ones I watched that Peter recommended, it was the one that freaked me out the most. I thought this is the abandoned shopping mall and stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny because when we made Brain Dead back in the early 90s, New Zealand didn't really have shopping malls like that. Okay? Now we have them everywhere. So, America's come to us. We've got the big mall.
Were you aware, that he wanted to make this movie, like a comedy horror movie, not just a straight up horror movie? When he was, when you were watching all the other films. Yeah,
we were. Peter's clear instruction was that we were making a. Well, no, actually, no. To be fair, I mean, the script was obviously had comedy in it, but the mission was to play it straight. I mean, that's always the way that comedy works best, was to play it real, keep it straight, but because of the very nature of what he'd written, which was, zombie splatter extreme, it was always going to be funny. And there was obviously set gags in there all the way through, but my mission as an actor really was just to play Lionel for as straight as possible. And I think when the film works its best, it's when it is real like that.
Yeah, definitely. Was there any particular scenes that he couldn't film, either because of the budget or just that they didn't work?
No, everything got filmed in the script. Although this is a classic kind of Peter Jackson's moment, which is basically the film had run its time and money, and it had basically reached the end of all the money, and we hadn't been able to shoot the sequence in the park with Selwyn. Okay, so the completion guarantors and the wonderful producer Jim Booth basically said to Peter, look, that's it, there's no more, it's got to stop, you're not going to be able to have that sequence, and the film doesn't, the completion guarantors said, well, the film doesn't need it, you can still tell the story without that, so you're just not going to be able to shoot it. And of course, Peter's not one to want to give that sort of stuff up. So what happened is we wrapped the film. I think we even had the wrap party and then he organised a guerrilla crew and me to film that sequence afterwards in secret, so that the completion guarantors didn't know. And so it was a small crew. It took, I think, 2 days in a park to shoot, and the film is so much better for it.
Oh, definitely.
It's one of those great sequences that would be a shame that if it never made it. And Peter always knows these things, but sometimes, as an early filmmaker anyway, you have to pull the wool over people's eyes so you can get what you want, because you know that it'll be better for it. So yeah, so as far as I can remember, everything in the script got filmed.
No,
one way or another.
Right. I think we didn't talk about this on the air, but the baby, was that, you think that was actually like a child?
There was a little child in that suit.
Right.
But there's not much. There aren't many. There's a little bit of running, but most of it was a puppet.
Yeah.
Basically a puppet in the sort of same model as a Muppet, actually, from memory. Yeah.
Right.
And there's a bit of me just shaking a baby around, shaking a doll around, and Muppets, and a kid in a suit. Yeah.
No, like when your family saw the movie, what did they think about it?
Oh, that's a good question. One of my older brothers has lived in Germany for many years, and of course it was huge in Germany. The Germans just loved that film, so there was a lot of press over there. So he was kind of proud. Everyone was talking about it, and they still do. In fact, I've been to a convention over there, and I'm going again, I think, at the end of this year to these horror conventions, and Braindead's very, very popular over there. But my mum and dad, I think they even enjoyed it, because they would never see that sort of thing normally. But
right.
It was an accomplished film, and whether you like horror or not, there's something in there for everyone to enjoy.
Right. Were you guys like surprised that it was like scenes were cut out for like United States and other countries? If none of it was cut out in New Zealand.
I think Peter was. I think he pretty much knew the rules, and he probably wasn't surprised but he was probably disappointed. I don't think it got cut out in many other places from memory. It was a while ago, but I wasn't surprised by it, because I didn't really understand any of the politics of film and censorship anyway at the time.
Mm-hmm. Was anyone like outraged in New Zealand, like this was too gory or anything, or did people just see it like as what it was like over the top?
No, I don't remember anything like that. Oh, that's right. The only controversy was in the graveyard sequence. There was a big controversy at the time on its release, because there was a crane shot, and it drifted past a real tombstone that had a name, a real dead person's name was shown.
Okay.
And of course that family got wind of it. Now, knowing what I know now about publicity and stuff, I don't know whether they were tipped off to create good publicity or they were genuinely aggrieved by it. In hindsight, it could have been either, but it certainly gave the film good publicity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it still stayed in there, but they came to some arrangement or some apology.
Yeah. John, did you have a question from the board, from the message board?
Oh, yes, I did. Actually, one of our fans from our message board, they wanted to know if you knew the reasoning why there wasn't a sequel.
Oh, good question. Because it's certainly set up for a sequel with Selwyn. The only reason there's no sequel is that Peter had other things he wanted to do, and is still doing them. I think, in his huge outpouring of creativity over Lord of the Rings and all the stress that created for him and King Kong, he's kind of been through a decade of climbing to the top of the mountain, and I think, I've heard that he'd love to just slip away and make a low-budget horror movie again, and it could well be the sequel to Braindead. that it's just a matter of him creating the time for himself. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did it one day, because he's that sort of person. He's put himself in a position now where he could do that. He just has to make it happen. But yeah, the sequel was certainly hinted at.
Yeah. How about a remake? Because I wouldn't want to see it because I think the original holds up. But they remake everything nowadays. Would you be for or against, like, if someone wanted to remake the movie?
Oh, for me, it would be odd to do a remake because it was a period piece in the beginning.
Right.
It's not like we were making something contemporary that's subsequently dated. And I can't think of any remake. Like, I saw Amityville Horror. That was a remake recently, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was just, I couldn't see the point of that at all.
Right.
No.
It looked like a Sunday movie. It wasn't scary. So, yeah, I don't know why. I can't see the point of making it because it was a period piece to begin with.
Yeah. I wasn't going to ask that because I thought maybe just at the time in New Zealand, everyone was dressing like 50s America or something. But it was supposed to be back in back in a certain point in time.
Forgive him.
It was back in the 50s in New Zealand, for sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought maybe that was just all the rage and everyone was, trying to be the Fonz or something.
No, we're not that behind the times. As I said, we've got malls now.
Oh, exactly. And you got shoes, I believe, now.
Yeah.
Was the woman who played your mom, Elizabeth Moody, was she as mean as she looked in the movie?
No, I mean, from my perspective, I was a young actor out of drama school, and she was this, even then, kind of old thespian from a theatre town in the South Island of our country, and so she had a certain amount of mana and awe from my point of view, but no, she's just a softie with a gruff voice.
Well,
yeah.
Was there any
She scared me in that movie.
Yeah. Was there any similarities between her and your real mother?
I can honestly say no.
That's
Good.
No. When she turns into the giant creature at the end of the movie, was that a big puppet or was that like robotic or what?
It wasn't. It wasn't robotic. In fact, I don't think there were any robotics in the movie. It was all strings and pulleys. That was the great thing about Braindead. It was the last film that Peter made in the old school of how you made films and special effects.
Yeah,
all the special effects
really
were old school techniques, pushed as hard as they could. After that, the next thing was when he started getting involved in digital effects. So, and The Frighteners was a film experimenting with digital effects for scary purposes. But we were all the old ways, and Mum was a puppet, and also we were dealing with scale issues. Where you'd have foreground, background to make things look bigger than they are.
Right. Those
sort of tricks. That was mostly how that was achieved. But false perspectives and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Did you keep anything from the set, like any spare body parts or anything like as memorabilia?
I kept Lionel's shoes because as an actor, shoes are kind of important to me and just as a part of getting the character right. And I kept the shoes for quite a long time, but they rotted because they were so fermented in the first place that they almost disintegrated, and I had to throw them out.
Oh, you should have put them up on eBay. You're probably going to get some good money for them.
They'd rotted out before eBay was invented.
Oh man. Now I know one of the most famous lines is "kicking ass for the Lord." I was just wondering, what would be your favorite line from the movie?
That's always been one of the great lines, the memorable lines. There was a line I had to do once, which was, "That's my mother you're pissing on," which was one of those sad moments for an actor where you do it best in the dress rehearsal before the camera rolls, and I'd nailed it before the camera was rolling, so that was always a disappointment for me. "Your mother ate my dog." That's my favourite line, I think, from Deanna's character. Yeah,
All right.
Your mother ate my dog.
Yeah. It's definitely a line you don't hear very often in a movie. Or in life.
And I think for one of those little moments that I really like was when I glue her cheek back on. You know, her cheek falls off, and
Right.
I get the glue out and I glue it on. You know, a little simple moment like that. It's always very effective when people watch it because it looks so painful. But it's just a simple little effect, and it seems to hold up to this day.
Yeah. Ian Watkins plays your uncle in the movie. I thought it was like a great character. What was he like to work with?
Ian's a great personality on the acting scene. He'd been around for a long time. You know, he'd been in the first. He'd been just about in every film ever made in New Zealand. You know, because our movie industry didn't really start to any great extent until the late 70s. Okay.
Wow.
And he was in a whole bunch of films in what we call the cowboy days, when people were making films and figuring out how to do it along the way. So he came to the set with a great deal of experience, and he knew how to hit his moments and how to work a good line. So he was great. We shared a dressing room for a few weeks, and yeah, he's a good guy. I haven't seen him for a long time. I don't know where he is now.
Yeah. Besides, like, a lot of scenes that people bring up, is there anything like particular that always like stuck out to you as like something you really enjoyed filming or watching?
It's one of those things where I'm just about in every scene in the movie, so
Right.
I was there every day, and every scene in the movie there's a memory of how we did it or what went wrong or things. So I just have an overall memory of the most sort of strongest overall memory for me was how Peter knew exactly what he wanted every moment in the film, and how he would encourage you to get those moments, and he was never stressed out or he's a man has a great energy on set. You want to give him what he wants because he has a charming and way of asking for it. And he had a storyboard that was 600 pages long with about 4 or 6 panels of storyboard on each page. Every moment in that film was marked out.
Wow.
And all we had to do was follow the map. You know, that's what's so good about him. It's all in his head, and he has the great ability to communicate that to his team to make it end up on film.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot of scenes in the movie that kind of reminds me of like a Looney Tunes cartoon, like especially when you're running in the blood and you can't run because you're standing in the big puddle of blood, and there's I think you even see Acme at one point, and it's got the large labels like poison, tranquilizers. Was that something that like do you think he was a fan of, like the Looney Tunes cartoons, or do you think that was intentional?
I'm sure it was intentional. Whether it was a homage to Looney Tunes or cartoons, I'm not sure. I don't remember that ever being mentioned. I think, actually, I'll tell you what it was. If he was alluding to anything, it wasn't Looney Tunes. It would have been Buster Keaton.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that kind of physical comedy.
Yeah.
I know. It comes back to me now that he had a great appreciation for what Buster Keaton did, and so did I. You know, like The General. I think that's one of my favorite films is The General. I just think that's genius. So, I guess if anything, we were trying to achieve moments like that.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned like
physical comedy.
Yeah, definitely. Which is, I guess, maybe the Looney Tunes cartoons were kind of, borrowing from those movies.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Well, you said like you go to a lot of the horror conventions and everything. Like what's like the strangest thing like someone's asked you to sign?
I haven't been to. I've only ever been to one.
Oh, okay. Well, you said you've been to one.
So,
never mind.
Yeah, I've been to one, and I might be going to another one this year. They've just started because for a long time horror films obviously have had a big tradition in convention land, but for us, we've only just started being included in it. I think people have gone, oh, those guys still live down at the bottom of the world. Why don't we get them along as well? When I went to the one that I did in Germany, I was completely overwhelmed. It was a bit like my fishing village story in Cannes. I had no idea that there was such a strong following for these films, and people turn out and they dress up, and it's great to see. It's fun to watch. I don't remember signing anything particularly obscene or anything.
Right. Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by how the movie took off and it has such a big cult following?
Well, it wasn't a huge hit down here when it came out in the cinema because we're a very small country. So, we've got a total population of 4 million people. So when a film like that comes out, there's only a small percentage that are going to want to go and see it at the cinema. So it never was a big hit here. What it was a big hit overseas, and I was never hugely aware of that, and I'm more aware of it now that it's achieved cult status, which is good because I do see it every now and then, and when I see it up against comparable films, it still stands up really well. I can see that it's influenced a lot of other people, which is great.
Have you ever seen a living Sumatra? How do you say it? Sumatra? I don't know. Rat monkey.
Sumatran monkey.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. In fact, I thought Peter probably made it up. I don't know.
That would make an excellent toy. I don't know if anyone's ever thought of making some action figures or maybe a stuffed rat monkey.
It has been mentioned actually. Jed Brophy, the guy that played Void, he works a lot with those guys down in Wellington at Weta, and he's been talking to Richard Taylor, but again, it's the sort of thing they've been thinking about doing, but it's just a question of time.
Yeah. Now, I read that you actually won some awards for the movie. New Zealand.
I won the award here, and I won one in Rome at the Fanta Film Festival, which I think is a mafia film festival. I'm not sure, but
really,
it felt like it. They were very, very good hosts.
Well, what did you do with your awards? Did you get an actual trophy?
Yeah, you get trophies. They sit on your mantelpiece,
right, or
in your office, or wherever you've got them at the time.
Right.
Sometimes they just lie around in a box when you move house.
We got a caller here on the line. We got El Santo.
Yes. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Good. I've noticed, I enjoyed the film, the movie that you did a while back. That was a great movie. It was a classic in my collection. But also, I haven't seen it. My daughter has seen it, but I noticed you was in that movie, the Tattooist. How came along being in that movie?
I'm just in the first scene in that movie, and it's just recently come out here. So is it over there now?
Yeah, it's on. It released on DVD.
Okay.
Last week, last Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Did she like it?
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, she liked it. She liked it. Yeah, I just never had a chance to see it. My busy schedule. But I've heard it. I've seen it.
I've heard it's okay, but it's not quite scary enough. So I don't know. I haven't seen it yet myself.
I heard the first. Yeah, I'd say the first minute's the best part.
Absolutely. It's all downhill from there.
Anything else, El Santo?
No, I was just calling. I enjoyed the film you made a while back, and also, one more thing. Do you still keep in touch, watching other horror films like other ones that's filmed in New Zealand, like Black Sheep? Have you seen that one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a good example of what we kind of what's original from down this end of the world. Yeah, like Black Sheep's a good example of what we do well, I think, which is obviously influenced by Peter Jackson and his earlier films.
Right.
So it's good to see that the tradition's being kept up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Well, all right. Well, thank you so much. Join the interview.
Okay, mate. Good luck.
Going in.
Thanks. Right.
Now, I've actually told someone from Australia before that I couldn't tell the difference between an Australian and New Zealand accent. They were actually like offended. Would you take offense to something like that?
Yeah. We're as different as Canadians and Americans.
Right.
You can tell the difference between a Canadian and American, yeah?
Right. Yeah, they tried to explain to me that they say fish and chips, and that the New Zealanders say fish and chips. And like,
it's as simple as this: we say dance, and they say dance. They say, "Do you want to take a chance on me?" And we say, "Would you like to take a chance on me?" So we're much more sophisticated.
Right, exactly.
We sound much more normal.
Was there any injuries on the set while you were making the movie?
Only to the stunt guy.
Mm-hmm.
We had a stunt guy who he didn't like doing stunts much, so I ended up doing most of them myself.
I think
he ended up. He came to set on the first day he did this little thing, and then he turned up the next day in a neck brace, and I think Peter Jackson went, "Oh no," and which was great for me because I got to do most of the stuff, so it was good for me. I enjoyed that.
Let's say that's a good line of work to pursue, though. If you don't enjoy doing stunts, is to be a stunt guy.
Yeah, I know.
Do you have any funny stories from the set that maybe people don't know about?
There's probably quite a few. They're always kind of hard to remember on the spot, but let me think about it. Ask me another question, I'll get back to you.
All right. No, like you said, it took 6 weeks to film the big the lawnmower scene, and was there anything like that was filmed that it might have took like a long time, but you only see in like a second of the movie? You wish like you could see more in the film.
So that those little moments that take a long time.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those. Well, what's interesting is a lot of those special effects only had 2 or 3 attempts in them. Like Richard, they couldn't do more than 2 or 3 goes at it because of the way that they were created. So there was quite a lot of pressure on getting it right the first or second time. You can kind of apply that to most of the moments in the massacre sequence, anyway. The massacre with the lawnmower probably took. I might be wrong, but I think it took 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is a long time. It doesn't take that long in a film, but that place is just awash with blood. I mean, we were just up to our knees in it, and as I say, it all went rotten under the lights over the next few weeks, so it became pretty whiffy.
When the uncle walks in and says, "Oh, the stench," so did the place actually smell bad since everything was getting rotten?
It did. It smelled really bad. It smelled like because basically one of the main ingredients was maple syrup. So if you put maple syrup all over your wall and then shine hot lights on it and then keep the windows closed for 6 weeks.
Which I do all the time.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that over the next 6 months.
Especially in summer, it's a good thing to do. So see how you like it, and you've got to do it all through your clothes as well and your hair.
I'll pass.
Yeah, but if anyone wants to try it, let us know how it comes out. I think this is might be the first or the only movie I've ever seen where like entrails actually like come to life and start attacking people.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was all filmed in reverse.
Oh really?
Yeah, so we were acting backwards to make that work. The bit where it goes up it strangles me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all shot. So that was my first experience in shooting in reverse, which was, that was another little skill to learn, a little life skill. Mm-hmm. Oh, how to act in reverse. Good to know.
I also like the rat monkeys done like in stop motion, like animation. Do you know who did that?
I'm pretty sure that was Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because he used to do that a lot in his first two movies, so he had great experience. He was probably the most experienced person in the crew in terms of all that knowledge. That was the sort of knowledge that he'd taught himself over the years, and then basically passed it on to his guys, and they are what they are today now because of all that.
Yeah. Now, you've got a few minutes to think here. Did you think of a funny story from the set?
No. No, there was a lot. I mean, I know, there's in the park sequence, which is one of my favourite parts of the film, actually, funnily enough, because it was, again, I guess we were sort of doing Keaton-esque stuff, and it wasn't actually involving gore, it was involving physical comedy and the puppetry and so on, the zombie baby. But there's a bit where I'm running towards the camera and I trip over an object in the park, and that was real. My knee took out this solid concrete thing, and it was the most unbelievably painful thing I've ever done in my life. And Peter went, "That's great. We've got to keep that in." And also sliding down that hill and taking out the people having a picnic.
Uh-huh.
I think, those little moments in the film where you know that you got it just right, and it was a great take, and you nailed it in one, and it just, there were those little moments in the film, those funny little ones where most people won't think twice about it, but you think, oh, that's really good, that worked really well. Mm-hmm. And that was stuff we were just making up on the day.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you coming on tonight. It's been a lot of fun. It's honestly one of my favorite movies. Anything you'd like? Yeah, anything you'd like to tell everybody out there who's listening? No, but if there's any horror conventions going on down on your side of the world, I'll make an effort to come across sometime, because it'd be good to meet some real bona fide American fans as opposed to those mad Germans.
I think you'll get some offers off of that.
Yeah, so
I might be able to hook you up on a few if you're really interested.
Well, there was one. There was talk of one in Indianapolis at some point, but I don't know what happened to that. But,
yeah,
these people have good ideas, and then nothing comes of it. But
yeah, there's one here in Boston every year. It's called the Rock.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty big one.
Okay, I haven't spent enough time in the States. I'd like to spend some more time there and have a better look around. So maybe I can make it work one day.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Hey, good luck, guys. Thanks for talking. It was nice to catch up.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay, greetings from Camp Crystal Lake. This is Warrington Gillette, the original Jason Voorhees, wishing you, a happy Friday 13th on withoutyourhead.com.